Let's go back in time about 3 months ago when I took you guys on a field trip to the German Society of Pennsylvania. We went there because in their library was a book known as Das alte Wunderland der Pyramid. This was an old German book written in the year 1868 by German author Karl Opel. It's a very difficult book to get your hands on, especially in the United States. This was the only copy I could find of the book in the entire city of Philadelphia, and this book was fragile too. When it was given to me, I had to place it on a special foam pad. I had to be very delicate with it. This is an old book and a difficult book to get your hands on. The reason why I wanted to find this book is because a few months back in the summer when they were hyping up World War II zombies, Noah J456 was sent pages of a book, and on those pages were notes written by Klaus to Marie Fisher. This was our first introduction into the World War II zombie storyline and everything that was going on in Middleburg leading up to the Final Reich. It was kind of weird. Why would Noah be sent these pages about ancient Egyptian society when the storyline is about Germany and King Barbarossa? So it was confusing, and that's why I wanted to find the book. I thought maybe if we can find the book, we can get answers. And what we discovered is that Noah was sent a very specific edition of the book, an edition of the book that related to King Ramses II. No other edition of that book had information on King Ramses II, and Noah was sent those pages on King Ramses. In addition to that, he was also sent pages about hieroglyphics. Now, we learned in a tweet from Cameron Dayton that Klaus had an extensive library that he was using to do research on Geistcraft and everything going on in our game. When you think about it in the context of the storyline, Klaus wanted to write letters to his sister Marie, but he probably didn't have much paper on hand. So what did he do? He wrote it on whatever paper he could find, the books he was reading at the moment. So he was reading Das alte Wunderland der Pyramid and then ripped out pages and scribbled notes frantically to his sister Marie and sent them to her. And that's what was going on, which means Klaus was doing research into ancient Egyptian society and King Ramses II, which makes me think that they might have to do with our storyline. This is where I began to speculate that we may in the future see a map set in Egypt, or we'll see Egyptian history and mythology play a role in our zombie storyline. After that, the trail kinda went cold. Now let's go back in time just 2 days ago when we got the trailer for DLC 2. In that trailer was footage of a brand new Egypt multiplayer map, and a lot of people at this point said to me, "Look at that, John, we got it in multiplayer, not in zombies. I bet you're feeling pretty salty right now, or are you disappointed we're not getting an Egyptian zombies map but an Egyptian multiplayer map instead?" And I was like, yeah, a little bit disappointed, but maybe we'll find clues about the World War II zombie storyline in that multiplayer map. So now I was just excited. If anything, this invigorated my theory about Egypt within our World War II zombie storyline. One of my plans when we get the DLC next week is to jump right into that multiplayer map and just spend an hour scouring the walls, seeing what we can find, because I guarantee there will be something related to Barbarossa or Geistcraft or who knows hidden in that map. I'm excited to look. So that's where we are today. For the first time in a while, I'm anxiously awaiting a multiplayer map. It's not every day I'm sitting here waiting, jumping at the bit to get into a multiplayer map where I'm like, oh, you know what? I bet there's something in there. Probably hiding some secrets. I can't wait to take a look. And that was fine. I was content just waiting. And then we got a massive intel drop. We got like 4 different notes written by Drostin. We got an image. We got several looks at the map. We got all sorts of crazy stuff. And I'm going to be waiting to go into a lot of that because I want to make a separate video because there is just so much to talk about and it wouldn't be fair just to jumble it all into one video. I instead just want to talk about the cabaret. We saw a bit of the cabaret in the trailer, and we didn't know whether or not we'd be able to enter it. It was just one of the buildings in the map. There's lots of buildings in the zombies maps. We can't always enter them. We got a few clips of the outside of it, and then in addition to that, we got one shot of the inside of the cabaret. And at first, I just took it at face value as an image of the cabaret, and then certain Personio pointed out to me on Twitter the fact that we actually see a statue that looks to be either the Egyptian god Horus or the Egyptian god Ra. Now, whether or not it's one of those gods, it's hard to say, and when you look at those gods, they both are very similar. The main difference between them is the headpiece, and they both have a very similar outline around what looks to be both the beak and their eyes. So you'll notice on the statue, and I apologize for the crude Photoshop, you have two things going on here. You have the outline that sort of surrounds the eye, and then you also have a thinner, lighter outline that surrounds the beak. Both of those can be seen in blue on an image of either Horus or Ra, and it appears as though you can see it carved into the statue in the cabaret. So this leads me to think that we have a statue of Horus or Ra in the cabaret, and I want to thank Certain Personio for pointing it out to me that it looks so much like it. I mean, once you compare it next to a picture of either of those two gods, it's uncanny. I don't know how I didn't see it originally. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Egypt trail. I know we were dormant for a few months, but god damn it, it better be coming. So this is the part where we now start to do some digging into both of these gods to see how they fit into our storyline. Dig! To give you guys some basic background on both Horus and Ra, we'll begin with Horus. Horus can often be depicted as a falcon, and some depictions of him even describe him with wings, and probably unrelated, but recent depictions of Barbarossa that we've seen involve him with wings, probably unrelated, but I just thought I would throw that out there as a potential connection. And he is the god of kingship as well as the sky. It's believed that his left eye represents the sun, while his right eye represents the moon, and he also is the protector of the people of Egypt and is often battling another god, Set, the god of the desert, for control over Egypt as well as the right to choose the ruler. That is Horus's role in Egyptian mythology. We then also have Ra. Ra is very similar to Horus. In fact, their depictions are almost identical, with the main difference being their headdress. Ra is often depicted with a sun disk with a serpent coiled around it. That's how you can tell the difference between the two gods. Ra is more specifically the sun god, which is interesting when you compare him to Horus, because Horus is considered the god of the sky, which includes both the sun and the moon. So they both kind of overlap in terms of territory. Some Egyptian mythology actually eventually merges the two gods together into one, while other tales from Egyptian mythology describe them as rivals. So where they really stand depends on who you ask and which sources you're reading. Regardless, Ra is considered the creator. He is the creator of life and everything, and that's his role within Egyptian mythology. So how does all this talk of Egyptian gods relate to our zombie storyline? Well, this is the tricky part, and this is where we need to start doing a lot more research, trying to find a link. The only jumping off point I could think of right now is the idea of gods and kings almost being the same idea. Oftentimes in ancient societies, it was believed that their kings were gods, or at least descendants of gods, or chosen by the gods. They had a divine right to rule. That's at least where a lot of these ancient kings derived their power. It came from God. Now, the pharaohs in ancient Egypt were believed to be gods and descendants of the gods. So maybe we need to follow the same sort of mindset with Barbarossa, where Barbarossa eventually became so powerful that he was like a god. That might be what's going on here. I also would like to throw out the theory that potentially Geistkraft and this energy originates from ancient Egypt and then worked its way over to Germany and Frederick Barbarossa. What it may be is harkening back to the source of all of this, where everything began, and maybe if we want to put an end to Geistkraft, we need to go back to where it all started. That right now would be my guess as to what could be going on and why Egypt might be working its way into our story of German kings. That's going to wrap things up for this video. Of course, when the new map comes out, I'm going to be diving into it, looking for more links to ancient Egypt as well as this new Egypt multiplayer map. I'm really excited to see how they might be working it into our story, because I genuinely do think it plays an important role, and such an important role that it's almost surprising nobody else is really talking about this. I'm going to go though. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and bye.